Good afternoon. Lovely to have you here on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm here in New Delhi. Would love to know where you are, which part of the world you're in. How are things with you?
Hi, Gaurav. Very good afternoon to you. Luckily both of us are in the same time zone. I just traveled back to Pune day before yesterday. My time is typically kind of hopping between Singapore and Pune. Pune happens to be hometown, and Pune is definitely a good weather than Singapore. Singapore is too hot. How things in Delhi?
Yeah, things are getting better. Weather-wise, it's getting warmer now. It was quite severe winters this time, so it just feels alive to get some sun and be out. But
Mhm.
yeah, things are well. Things are well. Family's good. Business is good. Cannot complain. And thank you so
Fantastic.
much, Amit, for taking out the time. We run this podcast, a very candid, casual conversation that we have with peer entrepreneurs. And thank you for taking out the time. And just for some introduction for our audience, Amit is a dear friend, he's a mentor. We have worked together and also trying different initiatives in the entrepreneurial world together and have great immense respect for what he's doing in the startup world. And Amit is a dynamic leader with over 2 decades of experience in technology. He's the managing partner at StartupBay and co-founder at Colotech, and facilitated successful exits for over 30 startups in the sector like AI, fintech, and blockchain. And previously, held senior roles at Vodafone, WorldSpace, BPL Mobile, and contributing to the corporate strategy, business development, and operations. So, welcome, Amit. Welcome again. And this is the formal introduction, but I would love you to introduce yourself to the audience and talk a little about yourself before we begin.
So great. My pleasure, Gaurav, and it's always as lovely to catch up with you as it is today. Uh, Thanks. I think you have covered a lot in the brief introduction, but to just to quickly introduce myself. Uh, so I am currently managing partner at an accelerator, at a Singapore-based accelerator, Startup Bay, which is a global accelerator, but largely focused on Asian startups. And during this conversation, I'm sure you'll give me an opportunity to walk you through the journey, how Startup Bay started, and so on and so forth. But just to kind of give a very quick recap. Um, I started my early part of my career as a sales person in automation, which is office automation. I mean, the kind of automation that exists today never existed then. So office automation industry, then moved into telecommunications. Had a couple of startup ventures of my own during this journey. So it has always been a mix of, or rather not a mix, a proper blend of corporate work experience and the entrepreneurial experience, which is what I carried subsequently. And When we launched Startup Bay, all that experience that we gathered is put to use. Unlike my education in engineering, where I was a electronics design technology engineer, and in those days there was no Intel, no Nvidia, at least in India. I moved my career back into sales, account management, and thereafter, evolved into a more holistic experience in entrepreneurship. So that's where we are. We are a small team at Startup Bay. We work with entrepreneurs across Asia, typically Singapore, largely Singapore rather. But beyond Singapore, we also work very extensively with entrepreneurs in Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Philippines. these five other geographies. Um, we have worked with quite a few entrepreneurs in India as well, and we are quite upbeat about India. In fact, in one of the conversations that we had earlier, we are quite upbeat about India, and then that's going to be our next focus area, to bring our accelerator program to Indian startups. Brief introduction, Gaurav. Lovely to see you, and look forward to a great conversation today.
No, absolutely, and I just want to pick a clue from what you just said about you really being upbeat on India. I think the whole world is being upbeat on India right now, and rightly so. There is just so much action happening. I have not. I've been an entrepreneur myself for a little over 2 decades, and I have not seen such beautiful startups, products, services companies coming out of India and really doing some great innovation work, which was not the case before. We were really an outsourcing country, if I may say so. But I think things have changed in
Right.
the last decade, and a lot of innovative solutions are coming out of India. So absolutely, there is all the reason to be upbeat and and betting on India as a country right now, and the entrepreneurs which are coming from it. So Amit, a lot of our audience is actually first-time entrepreneurs, startups coming out, and some are even mature entrepreneurs who've done like two, three exits before, and and are investors today. What has your journey been like, right from the corporate world to entrepreneurship? Do you think has that served you better rather than jumping into entrepreneurship directly from your education, having that corporate experience added value? And what is your take for emerging entrepreneurs today? Do you suggest them to go into the corporate world, spend some years there, understand how business is done at the enterprise level, and then jump into this wagon, or jump into it straight away after their education? What is your take on this?
So good question, Gaurav. I think it is very situational. And but personally, let me share my own experience, and then maybe we can draw some inferences in terms of what's better. So I would not call it what's better, what's not, um, because entrepreneurship is a completely different world altogether. But looking back at my own experience, where after my education, I got into the corporate world, and for many years there was actually no opportunity to even think of entrepreneurship, right? At least for me. But then over a period of time, what happened is that there were certain projects that I got naturally within the corporate setting, where these were all greenfield projects, right? So for example, in BPL Mobile, there was a completely new segment that I was asked to set up for the BPL Mobile services. Similarly, when I moved into Vodafone, there was a new segment, which is small and medium enterprises. So I got the opportunity. So I was, in a way, you can say, lucky enough to get these kind of projects, which helped me primarily not just work within a very confined domain of a corporate enterprise. But these projects actually gave me an opportunity to work with external partners. And when you work with external partners, then it gives you a lot of feedback, lot of experience, a lot of best practices, and which is very inspirational, and which is very motivating. Um, so I would say it's the experience that you get from from what projects do you execute. It's the experience which is more important. Yes, to some extent I agree that corporate setting gives you exposure to a whole lot of processes, or enterprise processes, enterprise way of working, which definitely, for a startup, at some point, it does help, because
Right.
startup is not going to remain startup forever. The objective of startup is to, become a large global enterprise at some stage, and that's where this experience really, helps, in terms of building building strategies, building the business in a way which is competitive, not only on a domestic local scale but on a global scale. So yes, I would say that, lucky enough to get, some very interesting projects. But yes, the corporate experience, or rather, entrepreneurship in a corporate setting is is very, very valuable.
And very well said, Amit. You know, I totally agree with you that it cannot be one size fit all, right? Everybody has a different situation, different space that they are in, with all the things that they have going on at their job career at that point of time. But I do agree that startups do need to take that road towards the enterprise or becoming a large, hopefully a large company at some point of time, and those kind of processes, structures that you're able to learn at some of these corporates can really help you. In my view, if I may add, I think it also depends on what is the problem that you're solving and how important that problem is to be solved today. And how passionate are you to solve that problem? And sometimes, if you get to the right problem, there is enough of a market there to take that problem and solve for it. Then yeah, maybe jump at it right then. And then sometimes you really have to get your co-founders or business partners or mentors or advisors. You be surrounded by those kind of personas who've done that, been there, hopefully have scaled businesses previously, and they can fill in for the gaps that you as a founder may not be able to, right? So I think it's as a founder, I've seen that you need to be resourceful and understand what are my strengths, what can I do the best, and where are the gaps, where are the challenges that I need to go look out and find the right people so that they can complement what I do, right? So I have seen that work well for me, and hopefully I can share my experience with yours in this regard.
Oh, wonderful. No, absolutely, Gaurav. You rightly, said that, the experience or rather experiencing in the early part of your career, whether it's like a straight jump into entrepreneurship, or, you spend a little bit of time as a corporate resource, and then, kind of come into entrepreneurship. The experience of failures and learnings from those failures, I think, are extremely, extremely important, which make you a successful entrepreneur eventually.
Yeah. Let me ask you another, maybe it's a little philosophical question, but I think it's very
Mhm.
important in today's day and age, where successes are celebrated and failures may be looked down upon, right? And and as an entrepreneur, when you jump into this wagon, you know that it's a high risk game, and there is going to be a chance that you may not make it or may not be as successful as you think you are. How do you what is your take? How do you think entrepreneurs or founders today should take that, should take failure, should take success? Should they celebrate failures, or should they be should they learn? Of course they learn from it, but it comes with its own emotional challenges also. So when you are working with early on startups at your accelerator, what is your take on something like this?
So, Gaurav, the our engagement is largely with the early stage entrepreneurs, right? So we work primarily with early stage entrepreneurs, and at early stage, the rate of failure is still, astonishingly high. It has come down in our experience, but on an industry level or an ecosystem level, if you ask me, the failure rate is pretty high, which is bound to be the reason why and it is not going to be 100% all startups succeed, right? Which is bound to be because of a fact that a startup, uh, is also an innovation led experiment, right? And it is better that it remains an experiment, uh, because that's how the innovation is driven. um, Now, specifically as far as founders are concerned, my feedback to founders on specifically on the subject of failures is that don't let the failure overwhelm you. um, Talking about, rather relating it to my own journey, um, during this time between my first job and Startup Bay now, I've worked with many entrepreneurs, so a lot of learning from them. My own learnings in terms of failures, specifically about failures. I've hit that wall, many a times. And learning from failures is something which actually, kind of makes you much stronger, not only emotionally, but it also, kind of makes you very strong as an executionist, right, of a particular business model. Because uh, success, milestones never teach you what a failing milestone teaches, or a failure point teaches you. So it's an important element, right? And I mean, I'd like to quote a quote from Einstein, that failure is the pathway to success, right? So if there is no failure, then there is absolutely no success. So the earlier you hit a failure point, better in your entrepreneurship journey. Look at any entrepreneur which is successful today. Failing fast and failing early has been their experience, and it is the best way to refine, restructure, rebuild your business model, and kind of take your business out there in the market, and be as competitive as you can. I would rate failure to be one of the most important element in the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, and Amit, if I may add to this from my own experience, I think if I take one step back, one needs to really make a distinct difference between you as an entrepreneur who's trying to run a startup versus a fail or a failure in a startup. And I think sometimes people take it personally, founders take it personally, because, and I can imagine, because there is so much passion that goes into starting a startup, right? So when a startup doesn't do good or doesn't take the height that they expect it to be, they do take it personally, or we do take it personally. And I think that is where a strong mind comes into play, that you have to tell yourself, hey, I tried something, did not work out well. That does not mean that there is a problem with me. It means that there is a problem in either the problem that I was solving, which is not being taken by the customer. Maybe I'm not solving the problem in the right way, or maybe my messaging is not attaching to my audience, that they think that the problem will be solved by what solution I provide. So I think those are some of the very realistic conversations to have between yourself and your core group, when that you are starting your startup with. I also think what is important, of course, you got to be resilient, and you got to take failure in your stride, because you do not know whether the path that you are taking is going to lead to success over a period of time or not. But in the same breath, I would say that pivoting is also very important, at least in the initial stages of your startup. You got to pivot fast, like how you said, fail fast. When you fail fast, you got to pivot fast as well, because if you're taking too much time to make that decision to pivot, you'll either end up not having those resources, and resources not always money, resources your bandwidth to give to your startup, the people who trust you, who are in that journey with you, to travel down that road for with you for long enough. So I think those are the few things that I just wanted to add on the subject that we were talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, specifically now, if you come into the environment of our own accelerator, which is very tech focused accelerator, we find a lot of reasons why such entrepreneurs actually land themselves into these failure points. And of course, as you said, that yes, learning from failures, being resilient, uh, failing fast, pivoting fast, these are the kind of steps that one needs to take to come out of that failure situation, create an opportunity out of failure, and come out successful. So that's what we do. And when we work very closely with these technology startups, lot of things like simple things like the business model is not validated. Simple things like I am innovative, I created a product, uh, but there is no business around the product, right? So those are the kind of things, those are the kind of reasons why entrepreneurs face these challenges. However, I would say that every time you face a challenge, treat it as an opportunity, because it's not really uh, a permanent spot that you're going to remain in. So take it as an opportunity, because that situation is the best opportunity for an entrepreneur to kind of bounce back and walk the path of success.
Wow, rightly said, Amit. I mean, when I hear this from you, I'm just going back in my journey and how's the journey been for me. So absolutely great. So Amit, shifting gears, you know that we have this startup that we are scaling right now called Job, Joy of Performing, right? And the reason I got into this because a lot of times the moment you think about performance, you have that connotation of stress, anxiety, measure, and not everybody wants to get measured or be accountable, right? So we wanted to actually bring the positive side of performance, in business performance, people performance, and that is the reason we started this journey. And we have seen that companies who kind of take a reflection on what their goals need to be and have a very objective view of how to get to those goals, have understanding of strategy and strategy execution, and then align people with that strategy and take that leap of faith forward, in a more structured way, actually increases their success probability to be successful and also grow over the period of time. What is your take on it? Do you see early on when startups come to your accelerator, do you see companies and startups and founders giving it as importance that we think it should be given, and to this whole goal setting, cascading of goals, strategy execution, do these kind of terms are spoken about early on or not so much?
So they are spoken about early on, because if we, let's say, if we take any entrepreneur today, um, there is, so why is somebody kind of becoming an entrepreneur? Why is somebody want, because they want to take their innovation to the world. And when they want to take their innovation to the world, uh, there are various processes involved, which is like right from design, whether it's a product, business, services, whatever, right from design to implementation to validation of that particular whatever is your offering, product or a service. Validation whether the customers really want that particular service. Is there a need? Is there a validated market for that, and so on and so forth. So even in the initial journey, where you are kind of only focused on um, the building of a minimum viable product, to taking that minimum viable product to a set of customers and experimenting, that's very early stage of your journey. The process and and the process needs to be absolutely, seamless. Second, coming to your point of uh, performance measures, goals, and uh, see, when we talk to or when we engage with these young entrepreneurs, we tell them that, look, uh, your role is a founder, right? And when you call yourself founder, the word itself is, associated with foundation. Now, if the foundation of a particular thing, whether it's a building or a business, anything, if the foundation itself is weak, the business is never ever going to, kind of take off. So the emphasis of goals, KPIs, the measures, uh, performance metrics, and so on and so forth, I would say is much more important at an early stage than a later stage, because what will happen is that then you are converting these goals and KPIs and performance metrics into a process where, at an evolved when your business is slightly at an evolved stage, it should run like a factory. Okay. Processes take over the goals, KPIs. But yeah, of course, right at the beginning, uh, I would say that you need to set your goals, you need to set your KPIs, you need to set your performance metrics, the measures. Uh, there is no other way to measure these performance. To add to that, in the early stages of your entrepreneurial journey, it is all the more critical, uh, to break, because see, when you want to reach that inflection point as fast as possible, uh, you cannot take one single step to reach that inflection point. So it's always better to break down the initial journey into small steps. And when you break that down into small steps and associate a goal or a milestone with each and every step, draw out KPIs, draw out performance metrics for each and every step, life becomes much easier and stress free.
Wow, beautiful. I mean, with that, I'm just going to add that, there is a framework to our audience who may not know. There is a framework called Objective Key Results. There is a book called Measure What Matters by John Doerr. Some books inspire, some books really change the way you think about business. I think that is one of the books which actually made a huge difference in me and how I think about my business. And objectives and key results is actually a great way to follow what Amit was saying. Have big goals, but yes, break those big goals into smaller kind of milestones that you can achieve over the period of time. See what is working, what is not working, do those pivots, get to your product market fit, and then kind of expand. And product market fit is not just one time. Every time you go into a new geography, every time you're launching a new feature, of a product, every time you want to penetrate a different target market, you need to have that product market fit be there as well. So it always helps. So Amit, there is a section that we do, which is called rapid fire. So if you're okay, I would love to maybe do that with you very quickly before we close this podcast. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure, sure, absolutely. If
Okay.
if the questions are just rapid and not too fiery, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, just to warm up, coffee or tea?
Tea any day.
Okay, that's good. That's
So
typical, very India, right?
I'm a total tea drinker.
So, entrepreneurship or corporate job?
Uh, Difficult one, because I mean, not because I've been in both the worlds. I would say I think each of them have their own advantages. People make great careers out of corporate jobs, and so do entrepreneurs. I think what's important is that what are you passionate about, and just follow your passion. and you can achieve it either in a corporate or entrepreneurship.
Sure. Favorite book?
Uh, okay, I'm not I mean, I don't read thicker books, so it has to be within 100 to 150 pages. That's my outer limit. But yeah, one of my favorite books is Zero to One by Peter.
Lovely book. Yep.
I think, yeah, that really kind of captures the essence of early stage entrepreneurship pretty well, and a lot of learnings from there.
Yeah. In zero to one, actually, there is a concept that you go for a small niche, right? And you
Exactly.
target that niche, you be successful, and then replicate that. And I
Then
find
replicate
it
that.
super useful, early on and in that zero to one journey for any entrepreneur or any startup to take. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Any quote which has kind of been there with you and really inspires you as you go along this journey of yours?
Mm, okay, I think a lot of quotes. A lot of my favorite quotes are all Einstein's. so,
Okay.
so another quote by Einstein, which is logic. It says logic can take you from point A to point B, but imagination will take you everywhere. So that's, I think, one of my favorite quotes. What my take out of that quote is that a blend of these two
Right.
is extremely important. So
Important.
be as imaginative as possible to take you everywhere, but at the same time, also have these small point A's to point B's.
Well, it was lovely talking to you, Amit. We had a very casual, candid conversation, and I'm sure, in this conversation, everybody will be able to see their journey as they go and review this in their own time. So, any
My
parting
pleasure,
thoughts,
Gaurav.
before you leave today?
Um, yeah, I mean, parting thoughts to the entrepreneurs
To the
for
audience,
yeah,
absolutely.
to the audience, and I'm presuming audience here is entrepreneurs. Yes, uh, see, when you're building a business, you are building a business for a large community. Right now, this community can be X type of customers, or a social cause, or whatever is the objective of your uh, entrepreneurship, or of your product or service is. um, One of the key things that I would recommend to each and every entrepreneur is that live up to that word of, or live up to your title of founders. So make your foundation as strong as possible, because the job of a founder, as per me, is only to ensure that the foundation is right. Because once the business is established,
And how do you define that foundation?
so when we say a strong foundation, so things like validate your business model. A lot of founders, when they go to meet an investor, the only objective that they carry is to raise capital, right? I would say that should be the last thing in the conversation with the investor. Get the investor to validate your business model. Get the investor
Yeah.
to say, okay, if this business exists, are you going to invest?
Sure.
Forget
Sure.
forget whether the investment is there or not,
Sure.
right? Whether he
Right.
or she invests. But with every investor conversation, with every mentor conversation, coach conversation, whoever you go to, uh, keep validating your business model. So business model validation can be one element of foundation. Building processes, putting systems and processes in place can be another element in your initial journey. What I mean, I in my opinion, a founder is never a permanent title. A founder is only an initial title, because the minute your business has reached that inflection point, product market fit, business is taking off on a good trajectory, you are a CEO and not a founder anymore.
Right. Very well. Thank you so much. And Amit, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they can get in touch with you?
Email, connect on LinkedIn. These are, I think, the best ways. Phone conversations. I mean, I love talking on phone, but yeah, as and when. But the best ways to get in touch with is LinkedIn and email.
So, LinkedIn, I'm sure our audience can find you by Amit Jain and Startup Accelerator. What would be your
Sta-
email ID?
So Startup Bay Accelerator Singapore. If you type, I mean, they will be. My email ID is Amit. It's very simple. Amit.jain at startupbay.tech.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amit. We'll be in touch. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Pleasure talking to you, Gaurav. Thank you so much.